Those Flores people that were just in here,
Yes, sir.
they come back to me.
When we're in party.
Is your witness here?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, recalling 2260561 before the state of Michigan versus Jorge Florges. Defendant again is charged in count 1 criminal sexual conduct, 4th degree force or coercion. Defendant has an eligible within the second offense notice appearances.
Susie Tillil, Your Honor, on behalf of the people, P57494. Thank you for the extra time, and the victim is present.
Good morning, Your Honor. Allison Krieger for Mr. Flores, P76364. Mr. Flores is present.
All right, so we're ready to proceed.
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have any preliminary matters before we begin?
Just move to sequester, Your Honor.
Ladies and gentlemen out there in YouTube land, if you are a witness or potential witness of order, you will log off at this time. You just have one witness.
Yes, sir.
Correct. Call that witness.
Yes, Your Honor. People will call Ms. Alvarado.
And please step forward. Tell me your name and spell it for me.
Hello, Alvarado.
Can you spell that for me, please?
JELUA.
Please raise your right hand. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. Please have a seat in the witness box right next to me. Pull that door open. Keep your voice up nice and loud so we can hear you through the mask.
Good morning, ma'am. Can you tell us your name one more time and how old you are?
Hello, Alvarado, 28 years old.
Okay. Ms. Alvarado, I'm going to take you back to November 12th, 2022, around 11:30 in the morning. Were you ever in the city of Detroit on that day?
Yes,
Were you ever in the area of Dick Street and Pitt Street in the city of Detroit, Lake County, state of Michigan?
yes.
What were you doing in that area?
I was on my way to my friend's house to do lash extensions on her.
Oh, and that's part of your job?
Yes, that's what I do.
Prior to going to her house, did you go anywhere?
I went to the bakery, Shayla's bakery.
Shayla's Bakery? Okay, and what area is that?
That's,
If you know.
it's literally like 3 blocks away from there, like around the corner.
Okay, and what happens then when you get near Dick Street and Pitt Street that would you bring you to court today?
I was on my way to my friend's house. I did a shortcut to this through that street. There was a few stop signs that I was stopping at. In front of me, there was a car, and before the last stop, he stopped out of nowhere. And it was snowing that day. It was like first snow, snowing, wet, and he stopped out of nowhere, and I ran into him and crashed.
Okay, so let me backtrack for just a minute. The street that you're on that says it has some stop signs, you know what that street was called?
I want to say Pitt.
Okay, And then you said that you crashed into a man, right?
Yes,
Do you recall what kind of car he had?
yes, a red car, older car.
Okay, and if you saw this man again, would you recognize him? Did he ever get out of his car?
Yes, he did. I would recognize.
Is there any?
I'll stipulate to Mr. Flores' identification.
Okay, so, noted, is identified.
um, So what happened then after?
It was before the last stop sign, so once, I ran into him, he moved a little forward past the stop sign, that sticks. And I was in shock, pretty freaking out, so I kind of stopped my car in the middle of the street, right at the stop sign, and I got out, we both got out, and we stepped up to the sign.
And did anything happen when you guys were standing, when you were at the sidewalk?
Yes, we both got onto the sidewalk, side by side, the first thing he asked me if I had insurance.
And
Not how I was, how I felt, nothing, what happened.
And did you respond to him?
I did, I told him I didn't, and that I didn't want to call the police because I didn't want to have points, I didn't want to have a ticket. I didn't want to get in trouble. I've never had a ticket of any sort that comes to crashing or something.
Okay. And you did not have insurance that right?
No, I did not.
So does anything happen after you tell them you do not have any insurance and you don't want points and you didn't want to call the police?
Yes, he told me we had to call the police. We're side by side, shoulder to shoulder. And he starts to tell me that he has some apartments down the street, next to a building, next to a school. It's a big building. And I told him what he needs. He said that we can find a way to resolve this, for you to repay me. And he gets closer to me. That's when he starts to slide his hand down my lower back to my butt. That's when I pushed him off and said I was gonna call the police. He said that if I didn't have insurance, I probably didn't have papers. Because I was illegal.
And that's what you took, when you said you don't have papers, you took that to mean what?
That I didn't have, I wasn't that papers, but I wasn't legal in this country.
Okay.
So that's when I went to my car, got in the car, called the police. I called him once, he got close to my window, asked me to roll it down. And that's when I called the police again, because they were taking a few minutes to get there, and I was completely going crazy.
Okay. And eventually the police did arrive.
Yes, I did, and that's when they asked me to move my car up.
I'm gonna backtrack, on you, okay? So I noticed that you do speak with an accent and your name, is unique. What nationality are you?
I'm Hispanic.
And on this day, were you also speaking like you are now with your Hispanic accent?
Yes,
When you said you were standing shoulder to shoulder to him, do you know which hand he would have touched you with?
it was the left hand. Because we were facing the car. Yeah, I was there, the cars were here, and the cycle.
Okay, so you were parallel to your cars, you were using your hands, so I just need to describe what you were doing. And you said that he touched you with his left hand. Can you describe exactly, how he grabbed your butt?
He slid his hand down, he was wearing leggings, long t-shirt, and a rain jacket. So I didn't feel him till he got to my lower back, and that's when he slid his hand down to my butt, and he was about to grab it, like he put his hand on it, he was gonna squeeze when I pushed him away.
Okay, did he in fact squeeze your butt?
I felt that.
And how long was his hand on?
I felt it right away.
Okay, and it was over your clothes, right?
Right.
Okay. And did you know him at all?
No, I did not.
And what kind of car were you in?
I was a black Acura, which completely got shattered.
The front of your car was
Yes,
damaged?
yes.
Okay. Can you describe your demeanor, or how you were, after this happened?
I haven't been able to sleep. Those afterwards. I feel paranoid. hope that nobody encounters something that you think that you hear that happens to people, but it's different when it happens to you.
Thank you, nothing further.
Cross examine.
Yes, Judge, thank you. I might have to plug this in, is that okay? Like, just my computer, because it's gonna, might die. Okay. Do we have a plug now?
It's way over here.
Okay, perfect, that's great. Yeah. Perfect. I may not need it, just in case. Hey, Miss Alvarado, you said that, you were on your way to a friend's house. And, you don't have to give us the exact address, but what crossroads does your friend live at?
Never know, she was on Burnett Street.
And what time, where were you before you went to Sheila's Bakery or Sheila's Bakery?
I was coming down from Ann Arbor. And I ran up the freeway to go to the bakery.
Hey, did you go anywhere before you got off the freeway to go to the bakery? Okay, so the court reporter's taking down everything you say, so you have to talk out loud, okay? Okay, so, I asked you, did you go anywhere before you went to the bakery, and you nodded your head yes?
I said yes.
You did, okay. And where did you go before you went to the bakery?
I was coming from home to my house in Ann Arbor.
Okay, then it said when you got off the freeway, correct? And, yeah,
Yes,
and Sheila's Bakery is in Detroit, correct?
yes,
And it's on, Springwells, does that sound right?
yes,
Okay, Springwells, just southeast of Werner Highway, correct?
yes,
And that's the location that you went to?
yes.
After you got off the freeway and you went to, before you went to Sheila's Bakery, did you stop anywhere between when you got off the freeway and you went to Sheila's Bakery?
No.
How long, do you recall what time you left your house?
I want to say around 10:20.
And, what time, do you know what time you got to Sheila's Bakery?
No, I did not.
Did you go inside Sheila's Bakery?
I did.
Did you buy anything?
I did.
How long do you think you were in there?
Not even 5 minutes.
And then, after you left Sheila's Bakery and before you, got into the accident with Mr. Flores, did you stop anywhere?
No,
So you went right from Sheila's Bakery, drove straight, didn't stop anywhere, drove, and then ultimately got into the accident, correct?
correct.
And so do you think that was approximately, well, how long from the time you left Sheila's Bakery till the time that you got in the accident? How much time did you last?
I'm not sure. I wasn't counting.
Okay, but you know you didn't stop anywhere.
Right, correct.
And do you recall what route you took to get to Fitton Dix?
Not very familiar with streets. I always use my GPS for everything. But Spring Wells, I was on Central, and that's when I turned on the left to Fit.
Okay, I'd like to show you, and I don't know if the court reporter has stickers or if I should just mark it myself. No. I'd like to show you what's been marked as defendant's proposed exhibit. Hey, may I approach?
Man,
I'd like you to take a look at this, and that is a map, a Google Maps image, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and do you see Sheila's Bakery marked there on the map?
I do.
Okay, does that look like the Sheila's Bakery that you stopped at?
Yes, it's the only one that's there.
That's the only one that's there. And then you see, and then you see the end there, it's Pitt and Dick Street, correct? Okay, and that is ultimately the location nearby where the accident occurred, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I move for the addition of,
No objection.
Admitted.
do you recall, you can see on that map that, the way that that you could possibly go to get to Pitt and Dick's, correct?
Correct.
Okay, do you recall which route you took? Could you, draw it on the map for me? Okay, so for the record, you've just drawn on, defendants that's been, admitted as defendant's exhibit A. And if I understand correctly, and please correct me if I'm wrong, you went down, sort of north on Springwells or northwest, turned right onto Burner Highway, correct? Left onto Central, correct?
Correct.
And then, right onto Pitt, correct?
Correct.
At what point did you see, do you recall seeing Mr. Flores' vehicle?
Probably by there, I believe there's either 3 or 4 stop signs on that street. So we kept stopping and going, until the last, right, way before the last stop.
Okay, do you remember seeing him before the first stop sign? Is that-
No, probably the second one. The second,
Okay,
I
with
wasn't
that,
paying attention.
that's fair. And when you first observed Mr. Flores, he was driving, correct?
Correct.
You said that, you have never seen Mr. Flores before that day, correct?
Never,
Have you ever spoken to him?
no, never.
When you first, gave, the first time that you relayed what occurred to anyone was when you called, 911, correct?
Correct.
And you did that twice, I believe, was your testimony, correct? And both times that you called 911, you stated to the 911 operator that, Mr. Flores tried to touch you, correct?
Yes,
You did not tell the 911 operator that he actually did touch you, correct?
because there's a difference
Not my
from
question.
grabbing.
Not my question. My question is what you told 911, when you called them twice. And you said, and I quote, Mr. Flores tried, well, you didn't say his name, but you said, this guy tried to touch me, correct?
In my call, I said he touched me.
You did? Okay, let's listen. I'm gonna come close so you can hear it. Say hi, everyone.
You may.
Yeah, Sorry, this is wrong. Give me 1 second, please.
May my officer in charge committed an exception to the sequestration order?
No objection.
Okay, sure.
Part of the country right now, saying that the country right now, and he, I don't know the address. This guy stopped right in front of me, and I hit him. The stop I couldn't stop, and there's security part of the country right now, saying that
Okay, so you would agree with me that you said he literally tried to touch me right now?
But in that moment, I had just crashed and was going crazy.
Okay, so. Just want to make sure I have the right one. And then you called a second time. And again, you told the 911 operator that the guy tried to touch me. Do you recall that?
No, I don't.
Okay.
the guy tried to touch me.
Did you hear that?
I don't.
Okay, so you would agree that was your voice, correct?
Yes.
And then, the second time you told the story was when the police arrived, correct?
Yes.
Yes. And when you were asked what happened, you again told the officer, that he tried to touch me. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do. The definition of touching, tried or not, it may be different to other people than it was to me. I'm the one that got touched and grabbed. Maybe it wasn't fully grabbed, but so is that what it takes?
So I asked.
No, I'm speaking too as well. I'm the one that was harassed, that was abused.
So I'm asking you questions, that's my job here, okay, and your job is to answer questions, okay?
Yes,
Okay, thank you. And you would agree with me when you told the officer, when you, for the third time, said what happened, you said he tried to touch me, correct?
I don't recall. I say right there, you grabbed it.
Okay. Give me 1 second. So this is 39 seconds in when they switch it off. Was it 2 minutes?
You see the stop right in front of me, and I didn't see the stop, and I read it, and sometimes you have to show your ticket, try to touch it.
Did you hear that?
Yes.
Okay, and that was 2 minutes before, okay? All right, and
The
then,
other portion that she played,
Yeah.
where she said, he
He
grabbed my
grabbed
butt.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he said, when she said he grabbed my butt, was that before or after that?
after.
Okay.
And then, you actually described the way for the officer that he grabbed you. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And you did not state that he ever put his hand on your back, but just that he attempted to cuff your butt, correct?
No, I did not say.
You showed him, do you recall that?
Yes, I put my hand in my lower back, he slid his hand down.
But that is not what you told the officer, correct?
I don't recall. I mean, I had just gotten into a car accident. I have never gotten into a car accident.
And you were asked. Okay. And then you later state that he did in fact grab your butt and you were asked to show how it happened.
Correct.
Okay? And when you did that, you did not describe to the officer that Mr. Flores slid his hand on your back, but instead that he just cupped it, correct?
He went like that. Like, we're right? Yeah. In the registry.
Did you see that?
Yes.
Okay. And you would agree with me that you simply did a cupping motion, correct? My
No, I
only
did
question.
not see that.
You did not, okay, well, I'll show you again. It's 213.
And how did he grab it? He went like that.
You see?
Like,
Okay. And that you just simply said he went from underhand, for the record, that he went underhand and he cupped your butt, correct? Correct?
No, that's not how it happened.
Is that not, but I'm asking you what you told the officer in this video.
Judge, objection now, she's just arguing with the witness, and I believe the victim was directly asked, how did he grab your butt? The officer never said anything about if he touched any other part of your body, they were specifically asking, how did he grab your butt? And she responded, now she's just arguing because counsel doesn't like the answer.
Objection, those arguments sustained.
I'll move on. Okay, but you would agree with me at no time then did you describe to the officers that Mr. Flores put his hand on your back, correct?
Judge,
I wasn't
objection.
asked that.
Okay, you were not asked, and that was the reason that you didn't state it, is that correct? I'm asking you.
I don't understand your question.
Okay. When the officers arrived, did they rush you?
I was shocked after what happened, a crash and then getting touched. Yes, I didn't even have mind to even know how to speak.
Okay, so my only question for you, and please just listen to my question and answer the question that's asked, okay?
Yes,
Okay. My question is, when the officers arrived, did they rush you?
no, they didn't.
You didn't feel like they didn't care, correct?
No, they cared.
Right. And at no time during, when you relayed your statement to them, did you ever mention that Mr. Flores touched your back, correct?
Correct, because they didn't ask for details. They asked how I was grabbed.
Okay. And when you were, do you recall trying to convince, do you recall when you were talking to the officers about what happened and you told them that, Mr. Flores told you he had apartments down the street, correct?
Correct.
And you said, how would I know that if he hadn't told me, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Well, one of the ways that you may have known that Mr. Flores had an apartment down the street is because you lied in wait outside kitty corner from his apartment for an hour and a half before Mr. Flores got in his car and drove away, correct?
No.
No, you did not?
No.
Okay, well, let me show you. And before I begin, I'm going to remind you that you're under oath. And if you do not tell the truth, that's perjury, it's a crime. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. And you've already testified here today, you didn't stop anywhere between Sheila's baby and the time that you were on Mr. Flores, correct?
How is it relevant?
Judge, I don't know what happened or why she set him up, but you can clearly see her car arrive in a parking lot that is kitty corner from the apartments that Mr. Flores was at, wait there from 10:29 or just after 10:30.
So let me make sure I understand what you're saying. You're saying that she waited on him to come out of his apartment and then she ran into him knowing that she didn't have any insurance. She purposely ran into the back of him and then he got out of her car, she got out of his car, and she's making up the story that he touched her with. Is that what you're saying?
That is what I'm saying, Judge, and I don't know why, I can't tell you why.
Because she called the police knowing that she had no insurance.
Well,
She called the police essentially on herself.
Mr. Flores also called the police.
I don't know.
Okay, let's go back then. Miss Alvarado, you said that Mr. Flores told you he was calling the police, correct?
After I told him that I was gonna call the police, he said he was gonna call it too.
Okay, so you are not aware that he called the police twice?
I don't know what he did.
Okay. Miss Alvarado, can you tell me why you stopped at let me show you a picture. I'd like to show you what's been marked as defendant's exhibit, proposed exhibit. E. I'm showing you what's been marked as defendant's proposed exhibit B. That is a picture of the intersection of Pitt and I believe it's Honorary. Okay.
Are you testifying?
Pardon?
Are you testifying or are you asking?
I said correct, comma correct. Okay, correct?
Sure.
Okay. And you see there's a stop sign on the left, correct? And you're facing, and on the right-hand side of the picture, there's sort of a tall white building, correct?
Correct.
And there's a surface lot, a gravel lot in front of that building, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Why did you wait there for approximately an hour and 11 minutes for Mr. Flores to come out of the apartment complex?
I didn't.
Again, Judge, Your Honor, it's relevancy.
Well, I would certainly think that if she lied and waited for an hour and 11 minutes and then only left when Mr. Flores left and then followed him down the road only to rear-end him, it would call into question the veracity of her testimony about whether he did in fact grab her. Okay. While we're getting this ready, Ms. Alvarado, have you ever used another phone number?
No, I haven't.
So you've never used a number, 313-784-7592. Would it refresh your recollection if I showed you the?
I have taken out numbers for my friends. Yes.
Okay, well, and your name is Jelua Alvarado, correct? Okay, would you like to see the phone record?
What is this
All that
relevant
number.
Okay,
What is that relevant to?
because on October 21st, you texted Mr. Flores from that number, correct? And you asked for his
No, I
assistance.
didn't. No, I did not. I have a lot of friends that don't have papers, don't have documents, so yes, I help them get numbers out and, you know, because they don't have a way to do that.
Okay, so you're not denying then that this,
It's not my number. I don't know that number.
okay. Okay, I would like to first show you. Video, the time on it is 11:42:54. And this is your vehicle, correct? Coming down, okay. And for the record, and, oh, may I move for the admission of this video? She's just identified that as her car. And this is on the date in question driving down Fifth Street, correct?
I don't see it.
11/12/2022 at 11:42 a.m. 54 seconds. Correct? Yes, correct? Okay. And at 11, oh, I would move for the admission of this video.
Objection.
Okay. And this will be defense exhibit 3. At 11:42:38, your car is in this surface lot that is in front of the white building that we identified in defendant's exhibit number 2. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay. And you pull, this is Mr. Flores' car, correct? Right
I
here.
believe so.
Okay. And when he pulls away, you then you can see yourself, you pull out of this surface lot. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Now, here are. or can you just submit all the exemptions? With the same camera, number 6. Your Honor, I believe we have a stipulation to the admission of, there are a few separate videos because of the way that it had to be edited, but they're all the same camera angle, and they all show.
Having objection to the answer. Admit.
Okay. And do you recall what time you pulled into that lot?
No, I don't.
Okay. Do you now recall that you waited for some lengthy amount of time before?
I did. You asked if I had stopped. I mean, we're like, you know, a specific place to get something. No, I did not. But if I did stop to answer a call, I didn't see that relevant to all this.
My question is, how long did you?
I do not know. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Okay, well, my question for you earlier was, how long did it take you to get from the bakery to the scene of the accident? You said a few minutes.
Yeah,
Correct?
that's correct.
Okay. All right.
From the bakery to there is only a few minutes.
Right. And your car is a 2019 or 2018 Acura? Okay, at 10:31:15, you pull in this parking lot. I'm going to let you watch it. And of course, too. Oh, can I put that up to there? I could. Okay, if
You
I,
have to join us on Zoom.
okay, that's what I'm gonna do, because that will be much easier, I think.
Judge, though, I'm gonna renew my objection as to relevancy.
Thank you.
While you're getting set up, Wayne County Jail, who do we have here? What's your name? What's your name? I can't hear you, louder.
Samuel Michael Brown.
I don't have you on my docket, Mr. Brown.
Yeah, I was supposed to come yesterday, but I didn't make it because I went to Frank Murphy. This was supposed to be for a PCC.
Pardon, John?
You're a co-host now.
Oh, okay, thank you. Are we ready
You
to
have to
proceed?
share the screen and all that good stuff.
Okay, thanks.
He has another PCC December 15th.
December 15th at 8:30 is your next probable cause conference. It was adjourned.
Damn, man. I can't just waive it. I mean, I can't just I want to hold the preliminary. I want to go to it. I can't just do it right now. Can we
Yes,
just
sir.
do it? Okay.
No.
Okay, you said the 15th at 8:30?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Okay. Okay, so think it might be helpful to go backwards in time for you. So we agreed, you testified that that was your vehicle that you saw in that video, correct?
Yes.
What video, counsel?
Defendants,
Sorry, what car?
the black Acura, I will show the court. Hold on. So we're all on the same page. Okay. You see yourself pulling out of that lot, correct? This is the video I showed you previously that's been admitted as Defendant's Exhibit 4. Do you see yourself going through that intersection right there?
I do.
Okay, you would agree that that's your car?
Yeah.
Okay, and you saw yourself pull out of that lot, correct? You did not, okay, let's go back.
Do you recall pulling out of a lot now?
I might have been checking the GPS. Like I said, I don't know the road very well. So I'm sure I have.
So the question was, do you recall being in the lot?
Yes.
What were you doing in the lot?
I think I was looking at the GPS. That's all.
Okay, so it would have just been a couple minutes.
I'm not sure how long it was.
All right, well, let's go back. And now I'm showing you what's also Defendant's Exhibit 4, what's been admitted, but the time here is 11:08. And you see your car sitting in that lot. Right there, my cursor is on it, correct? No? Would you like to come closer?
No, because I can't see. I can't see it. I see a dark car.
Okay.
Okay, so let's watch that dark car and see if that dark car leaves that lot and comes down the street that she identified as being her car.
So I'm just gonna fast forward a little bit, but if the court wants to watch the whole thing, but you can see, so at 11:10, you're still there. 11:13, you're still there. 11:16, you're still there. 11:18, you're still there. 11:19, you're still there. And then we're still watching. You don't move. There's Mr. Flores.
Doesn't ask for not theory.
Sure.
Clearly she's trying to testify.
It's the
Sure.
same.
And then there you are ultimately after, hold on. Okay. You see that red car there, correct? In the frame next to the pickup truck, correct?
Yes, I see a red.
Okay, and at
Is that the
11,
red car that you hit?
Yes.
Okay.
and you see, do you see your car now? You've already watched this video. Do you see your car now? It has moved from the space and this is 11:42 and you're finally pulling out of the parking lot, correct?
Correct.
All right. So we know that at 11:10, you were sitting in that parking lot, correct? Because we just saw that. That was that black car, correct?
11:08.
11:08, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you stayed there until you pulled out at 11:42, correct? That's what we see here. Right?
Yes.
Okay. And you did not pull out until Mr. Flores pulled off, correct?
Objection, that's not evidence.
Well, we're watching the video right there. You said that that was the car you hit, the red car, correct?
Yes, but it doesn't mean that I was there waiting for him. I don't even know him. Why would I even want to do that to him?
It's a very good question, ma'am. I don't know. I don't know.
That's ridiculous.
What do I get out of this? I'm not asking for anything.
I don't know what you get out of it. I have no idea, but. Okay, Miss. And, okay, so the last video that we saw was 11:08, or the first video that we saw was 11:08, and you agreed that your car was in that lot, correct?
That's the answer.
Okay. I'd like to show you another part of Exhibit 4, Defendant's Exhibit 4. Same lot, correct? You see the same image, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And you pull in at 11:15:16, correct? Excuse me, 10:31:16, correct?
I'm not sure. I don't recall.
Okay, but you would agree that's your car. That's the car that we've seen on this video all the way up until you pull out at 11:42, correct?
Sure.
Yes or no? Is it your car or is it not your car?
My car's a black car, a black car.
And that was it. You just saw pull in, correct? At 10:31:16, correct?
I'm not aware of the time.
Okay, well, let's. I'm just pinning down this last.
Sorry.
I'm just pinning down this last fact. I just want her to. So you see the time, 10:31:16 up there on the screen?
Sure, yes,
Yeah, okay. And that's when you pull in, correct?
correct.
Okay, so you earlier testified that you didn't go anywhere from when you went to Sheila's Bakery to the time that you rear-ended Mr. Flores, correct? Do you recall that testimony?
Yes, I do, but I don't think it matters what I was doing before if I got into a crash.
Please just answer my questions, please. Okay? Can you do that for me?
Yes,
Okay. You previously testified that you went right from Sheila's Bakery and you didn't stop anywhere until you rear-ended Mr. Flores.
because the parking lot is not
Ma'am,
a place.
please answer my question.
Why are
Give
you
her an
yelling at
opportunity
me?
to answer
Why are
the
you
question.
yelling at me?
My question
I'm the
for you,
victim here, like,
Okay.
what
please,
is this?
would you please just tell her to answer my questions, Judge?
Just answer the question.
Thank you.
What is the question? A specific place? No, that's not a specific place. So that's the parking lot.
My question for you, earlier today, you were asked, how long did it take you to get from,
5 minutes, a few minutes from Sheila's to that point, yes, a few minutes.
no, that was not the question. The question was, how long did it take you to get from when you went back, when you left Sheila's Bakery to the time that you rear-ended Mr. Flores?
I recall you said to the street of it. You asked me how long it took me to get to that street.
Madam Court Reporter, are we able to look back at the transcript?
No, we're not.
Okay.
Next question.
Okay. When I asked you earlier whether you had stopped anywhere, you said you did not, correct? Correct. That you went right, that you drove right there and then you got in the accident, correct?
Correct.
Okay. You said that you recall pulling into that lot, correct?
Yes.
Why did you pull into that lot?
I don't know, I was setting my GPS, maybe I got on my phone for a little bit, I had just drove from Ann Arbor, 40 minutes, I had some time before I had to go see my friend for some lashes. I don't see the big deal stopping at a parking lot or somewhere.
Okay, so when you pulled into that lot, you were putting something into your GPS. Is that your testimony?
I believe so. I don't recall exactly what I was looking into my phone, but I was on it.
Okay. And what were you putting into your GPS?
Judge objection, yes, and answered it a couple times. She was saying she was putting an Emerson, GPS for project.
And that was your friend whose lashes you were going to.
Right.
Okay. And what were you doing in that lot though, from 10:30 until you pulled off, 10:31 until you pulled
I
off?
already told you, I was on my phone. I could have been on Instagram, I could have been on Snapchat, that's what I randomly throughout the day, I stop and get on my phone, I had time before getting to our house.
For an hour and 10 minutes.
Yeah, I could be on TikTok for hours.
Okay. And so your testimony is that you stopped in that lot so you could kill time.
Sure, yes, I do that all the time, I drive all over Detroit and Ann Arbor because that's what I do is lashes. So I go to my friend's house and do their lashes. I stop places, I eat, I have a sip of coffee, I get on my phone, answer text.
But you didn't stop and get out. You just stayed in that lot, correct?
Right, because why would I get out in an empty lot?
So what was the reason that you said that you had time to go before you went to your friend's house. Why didn't you just go to your friend's house rather than sit in your empty lot?
Because she doesn't have an empty lot around her house.
Okay, sorry, what?
She doesn't have empty lots around her house. She lives with her whole family, it's a 2-story home, so there's no space to even park.
Okay, so you were specifically looking for an empty lot.
No, I
Is
just
objection
randomly.
as to relevancy now?
The story just doesn't. I'm just
Why
trying to
is it-
understand.
why would
Hold
I
on,
be?
ma'am, you don't get to ask questions.
I'm just trying to understand what she was doing until Mr. Flores pulled off at 10:42.
And she's explained that over and over again.
Okay, and then ultimately, okay, when you, okay, let's go back. You said that you may have gotten the 31378 number for a friend, correct?
I didn't get it myself, no, I don't recall a number, maybe for myself or that I went personally together.
You don't recall that?
No.
Okay. And so if the phone number was in your name, the 31378475519, you don't know how that happened, correct?
I mean, there's a few numbers under my family members, friends.
Okay, so this could be one of those numbers under your name, correct?
Sure.
Okay. And do you recall on October 21st, texting from that number and identifying yourself as Julia and saying, hi, this is Jorge, or hi, is this Jorge?
Judge
No.
objection as to relevancy again.
She says she
What's
doesn't,
the credibility?
would it refresh your recollection if I showed you, the message?
No, because it wasn't me, I don't know what that is.
Okay. And if, do you recall then talking to somebody at Moratorium Now and also identifying yourself as Julia, Jelua Alvarado?
No, that's a lie, I've never called a number. I don't even know what that is.
But do you remember talking to a Mike Shane after?
No.
No. Okay, after Mr. Flores referred you.
Never called. Flores.
And so you cannot explain, if I understand correctly, you can't explain why that number that is linked to you, that is in your name, called Mr. Flores on October 21st.
It wasn't me, so I'm not sure what that is.
And you did not see Mr. Flores when he left the apartment building?
No.
Okay, so it was just a coincidence that he left at the exact same time?
Yes.
The two other cars that came and went in the parking lot when you were waiting there, did you know those people?
No. I don't even recall this, but,
Okay, you gave a statement to, the police on November 13th, 2022, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and you signed that, correct?
Yes.
And so you reviewed that for accuracy, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and you would agree with me for the first time in that statement, you put, he moved closer to me and he, put his hand on my back and slid it down to the middle and to my body, correct?
Lower back. Yes.
To my middle, to my body, that's what you said. Do you want to see your statement? And that was the first time that you said that, correct? Following day.
I believe so. It was a month ago, so. She asked me to go into more detail. That's what it was.
The detective did.
Yes. No.
Okay, no more questions.
Can you redirect?
No.
Ma'am, I thought I heard you say that it was snowing that day. I'm sorry,
It was.
it was. Did you see any snow on the pavement on the fence and wooded? Can you pull that up for me once more?
Yes, Judge, I can. If the court would like, I can show the video that is closer to the time when the accident occurred.
Yes.
You can kind of see it first,
I see it.
and then it got pretty bad.
How is it that she ran into the back of the defendant?
He stopped out of nowhere. It was his left side of his bumper, and it was the front left of my grill, my light.
What do you mean he stopped out of nowhere?
Right before the stop sign, he stopped.
Is that what you're supposed to do? Stop at the stop
It
sign?
was way before the stop sign. It was the last stop sign, way before. Because even after the accident, he had to drive past it and then go to the exit part. There was 3 stop signs, I believe, on that street. Before, way before the last one he stopped. That's when.
Now, it is an interesting question that you say that you use your GPS to get to your friend's house. Don't you do that on your way
Well,
to the location?
I figured I could get there through shortcut and that's why I did GPS after I realized I didn't know where I was at.
Get there without the GPS.
Yeah.
at first.
But I've been there a few times, but I hadn't been there from shortcut before.
What time are you supposed to be there?
It was around 1. And it's 7.
Is it around noon? You're supposed to be there? So how far away from this location were you?
Let's see, 10 minutes.
You still would have been early, right?
Yeah, but it's one of my best friends, but her aunt was still there, so she was gonna put a work for herself one, and she was still there, so it's just waiting for her to go to work.
Any questions based on my questions?
Yeah. Just- Oh, do you have?
No.
Okay, just briefly, when you pulled out of the lot, obviously you saw in that video that Mr. Flores, and or that red car took off quite a bit before you did, correct?
I didn't hear your question. So that means-
So you saw in that video that the red car pulled out quite a bit before you did, correct? Okay, and so when you were driving, how quickly do you think you were driving to have then caught up with the red car? 30, 20, okay. I'd like to show you a video of the other angle, but
Why, just objection is to.
because you're gonna see, Judge, that she seemed to have gone very fast, maybe won a couple of stop signs, somehow it seems to catch up to Mr. Flores. And again, I don't know why, but the
His car was barely even touched the bumper. Mine is a newer car, has more like, like nicer, so it's more delicate, everything's gonna break on it. This car was barely even touched.
that wasn't the point of mine, I'm not showing whether it was to have touched it or not touched it. I mean,
Obviously, I wasn't going that fast then, if his bumper was thick, it was like barely even like dented a little bit.
that's not, my point is that Mr. Flores pulled off seemingly, actually, we don't have to guess. Hold on. Okay. Like to show. Okay, you see. The red car in this image, we've already determined is the car that you hit, correct, ma'am? Okay, that's it, right, 104238. Okay. And you would agree that you are aware that the car is now at approximately, I don't know, 20 seconds later, 17 seconds later, correct? Okay, well, you can see it on the screen, right? It's 10:42:56, correct?
It seems like it's not even that far away.
Okay, my only question for you is that you are where Mr. Flores was after almost 20 seconds, correct?
I don't know, I wasn't counting.
Okay. And you said that the stop sign that you hit Mr. Flores before was not the only stop sign on that street,
Yeah,
correct?
like, it was that one, and then there's another one, the last one.
And it's your testimony that you were only going, because you were, well, strike that, because you were driving carefully because it was snowing, correct?
Correct.
And you would not have been speeding because it was
Correct, and I believe that's why I was saying that if I was going that fast, I think it would have been a lot more damaging than the little dent that it had. If I was going as fast as you say I was.
Okay, well, let's see. Okay, and then you can see your tail lights all the way at the end. Can you see that? If not, you get off.
I stopped at the stop sign.
Okay, and then at some point thereafter, that's when you hit Mr. Flores, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I have no more questions.
Anything else?
Specifically, Your Honor. The reason why you stopped at Sheila's Bakery, was it to get something because you weren't just going to a client, she was also your.
Well, I mean, objection leading, but
Some leading is allowed.
Thank you. So what were you doing at Sheila's?
I got bread for both of us.
When you say both of us, your friend and your client that you were,
Yes.
thank you. Nothing further.
Thank you, ma'am. You may step down. Witnesses on behalf of the defendant.
yes, I'd like to call on investigator Brian Mensch.
Where is,
He's outside.
yeah, step,
You have to step out. You have to step out.
yes. Sir, please step forward. Tell me your name and spell it.
So right through here. Right through there. Brian.
Brian, what's the last name? B-R-I-A-N. Please raise your right hand. Swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the true self you got. Thank you, sir. Please have a seat. Maybe when you're ready.
Sure. Can you please state your name for the record?
Brian Mensch, M-E-N-G-E.
Okay, and Mr. Mensch, how is it that you're employed? Like, what do you do for a living?
I'm a detective, detective, police officer for the state of Michigan.
Okay, and do you also do any investigation, any investigative work?
I do, I'm a licensed investigator of the state of Michigan. I own and manage a company,
Okay, how long have you been in law enforcement?
25 years,
And how long have you been a licensed investigator?
about a year and a half now.
And I asked you to look into a couple of things, correct? In this case, in the matter of the people versus the state of Michigan versus Jorge Flores, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. And were you, one of the things that you were asked to do was to see if you could obtain any surveillance footage from in and around the scene of Mr. Flores' accident with the complaining witness, in this case, Ms. Alvarado, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And did you do that?
I did.
Were you able to obtain any camera footage?
At the actual scene of the crash, Pitt Dix, I was not able to obtain any CCTV footage from there. I did locate some cameras and spoke to some people, but I was able to recover CCTV footage from a building owned by Mr. Flores, the parking lot.
Okay, and what, if anything, did you, during the course of your investigation, were you able to identify at any time before the crash, the two vehicles that were involved in the crash?
I was.
And when did you first see, do you recall what kind of car Ms. Alvarado was driving?
I believe it was a 2018 Acura ALX. I think that if you refer to my notes, the exact model.
Okay, and then what about, would it refresh your recollection if I showed you your report?
Yes, ma'am. 2019, after I held it.
All right, and did you observe, what did you observe on that? What, if anything, did you observe that card do on the camera?
It would violate the best evidence.
Thank you.
Pardon?
It would violate the best evidence from the video itself.
Okay. What did your, okay. Here we go. The location that you pulled the cameras from, do you know whether they had any connection to Mr. Flores?
They do.
Okay, what is that connection?
They belong to a building, they're actually on a building facing that parking lot, that intersection of the street, on a building owned by Mr.
Okay, and those, the building is is that a vacant building?
No, it's not, it's an occupied building.
Okay, and how many units does it have in it?
I don't know how many units are.
Okay, but they're all occupied.
Correct.
And did you determine whether one of those apartments is occupied by Mr. Flores?
Not by Mr. Flores. There's another resident that holds the DVR and the CCTV footage camera for this extraction that I pulled on this video.
Did you observe, through your investigation, did you learn whether Miss Alvarado was alone that day?
She was, based on my observation.
Okay, did it appear that she had any, or did she not, did it appear, but did she have any, were there any other vehicles involved prior to the crash that day?
There was two other vehicles that were in the parking lot on this floor after she was the second vehicle in the extraction that I did that pulled alongside of her. The other two vehicles identified as another Acura and a Jeep left at different various times, but then came back and pulled alongside of Silver.
Okay, did you have an opportunity to look into that Jeep Nitro?
I did.
Judge, objection is to relevancy.
I'm getting there, I promise, and it will be fast.
I'll give you some.
Okay. And was there a specific person that you tied that Jeep Nitro to?
It was to Mr. Munoz, who owns a realty company and various other businesses.
Okay, and does Mr. Munoz, that Jeep Nitro tied to, does he have a lawsuit against Mr. Flores?
I believe he does.
Oh, actually, one other question. Did you conduct an investigation into whether Jalua or Raylo Alvarado had previously contacted Mr. Flores?
I did, based on my investigations by speaking to Mr. Flores and another associate of his. There was an unknown suspicious number that called up him prior to this incident requesting assistance in an eviction process, at which point in time I ran the number through an IRB search along with another number that they provided, and both numbers came back to the victim in this case, the alleged victim.
Okay, and that was Jelua Alvarado.
Correct.
Okay, and that contact was on October 21st, 2022?
Correct, prior to the incident.
Okay, no more questions.
Investigator, you've been investigating crimes for a good 25 years, right?
Correct, specialties in violent crimes.
And as an investigator, have you ever found that somebody has obtained a phone number for their friend, their colleague, a family member, and put it in their name rather than the family member putting it in their own name?
I think it's possible. In my investigations, I haven't seen that, but it's possible.
And do you know beyond a doubt that the same victim in this case is the one that is using that phone number that you investigated for defense?
She identified herself when she made the telephone call, so that's the information I obtained from my investigation.
And there are other people that could have a similar name, is that correct?
I imagine it's possible, unlikely.
Thank you. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay, so there's been a lot of talk about your investigation. Do you have anything tangible to show the court, such as you said that there was a phone call that was placed to the defendant? Having phone logs or show something showing what number was that called?
Correct. Oh, number, no, the number I was given, ran a background search on both numbers that I was given. So telephone records, I
Did
didn't.
you ever physically see the phone number yourself in the defendant's phone?
I have the, if I may introduce it as an exhibit, Your Honor. Okay, you were provided with a screenshot, a call log entry, and that was to Mr. Flores, as well as the phone number, correct?
Correct, he provided that, which had the number attached to it, and that was the number I ran.
And also a physical printout of the physical printout of Mr. Flores' phone bill from T-Mobile, correct? Yeah, good for the admission. Well, if you want, I can authenticate. They already said that.
Any objection?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Admitted.
Okay. And so this will be collectively called the defendant's exhibit 5. Okay. I'd like to show you what's been admitted as defendant's exhibit 5. Are these, could you identify, well, I guess they're admitted. So there's a call record of Mr. Flores that belongs to Mr. Flores, the phone bill, correct?
Correct, T-Mobile.
Okay. There was a text message. There's also a text message included from the number 7, well, a contact that's saved as Julia Munoz renter. And a contact for that, and that phone number is 313, could you read it for the record?
313-747-592.
Okay, and based on the information, that you received, you conducted a search of that phone number, correct?
Correct.
And it came back to Jelua Alvarado, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and that contact was made on October 21st, 2022, and there
Let's
were,
have the witness testify.
okay, and if you could read for the record, whether there was one or more contacts noted on the phone bill from that number.
There were multiple contacts on the phone book from that number.
Do you know how many?
Approximately 6.
Were they text messages or calls?
Well,
Do you have anything that indicates what those text messages said?
I mean, Anthony, for the record, what's been admitted as part of defendant's exhibit 5?
yeah, it's a text message from Julia that says, "Hi." Would you like to read it?
Yes.
"Hi, is this George?" He responds back, "Who is this?" "I'm Julia. My friend Keisha gave me your number. Can you talk?" "Yes." Julia, 340 Calvary Street.
Okay, and then you mentioned that one of the vehicles that, if I have your testimony correctly, you said one of the vehicles that pulled in the lot during the time that Miss Alvarado was in that gravel service lot was a green Jeep Nitro, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and you said that you were able to tie that back to Gaston Munoz, has the civil suit against Mr. Flores, correct?
Correct, I have.
All right, and how is it that you were able to trace that back to him?
Well, during my investigation, I did a surveillance of a realty company that's owned by Mr. Munoz, and I observed the same vehicle, the same vehicle parked in his parking lot. I ran that plate, came back to an LLC company on the east side of Detroit. I'm running a LARA search on that. The LLC company came back to Munoz Senior. From that point, I took Mr. Munoz's realty company and I ran a search on his address. And basically, this vehicle was owned by Mr. Munoz, the subject of this lawsuit, prior to and then sold to Munoz Senior, who put it in an LLC company.
And during the time, if I understand your testimony correctly, that Miss Alvarado was in that service lot, the green nitro came and went.
Correct. It came in third. There was another actor that came in first, but then she came in.
Again, that's the.
Okay, sure.
Um,
Sure, fair enough. Okay, no more questions.
And you never saw Miss Alvarado leave her vehicle to talk to anyone in the nitro, did you? In the-
Not on the footage I observed. She stayed in the vehicle.
Okay, and.
So,
Okay.
guess I'm doing now, but do you have in the video, this green nitro coming in contact with this Alvarado vehicle?
Only coming very close, like parking directly beside. Sure. For the record, this is the video that begins at 10:48:46 and ends at 10:55:14. It's been admitted as defense exhibit 4. And I'm just gonna fast forward it so that you can see. I can fast forward it, Judge, but that will remain there until 11:17:14. The court wants to see.
That's for- This vehicle that's pulling out, is that one of the vehicles that you investigate?
It is. That's still to be determined, to be identified. That was the primary vehicle that got there first, and then you can see the alleged victim in this case is still in a lot with the nitro.
The nitro was there?
The nitro is still parked there next to the alleged victim.
Where's the nitro that you investigated?
Right to the right side of the top of the screen. See the color.
That looks like a parking spot away from that.
It's approximate, yes, Your Honor. So there's approximately, you have the alleged victim in this case, the unknown, dark and colored Acura, then the Jeep pulled next to the Acura. The Acura leaves, circles the block, and then actually comes back to the scene, and then the nitro leaves and goes back where it came from.
Would the court like to see?
Yes.
I'm showing. For the record, I'm showing Defense Exhibit 4 that begins at 11:08. For the record, it's 11:15:45.
That's the first primary vehicle going back the block to the alleged. Soon after.
This vehicle is leaving out now, is that the nitro you referred
That's
to?
the one that I investigated inside of the realty.
Per your investigation, were there any phone calls made to the defendant during this period of time?
Not to my knowledge.
Say the vehicle that was driven by Mr. Alvarado, left that location, went around the block and came back.
No, so the first vehicle actually left, that showed up in the lot at the beginning of the vehicle, left, surfaced the block and came back, and it was depicted in that video.
Why did you keep cutting it off?
Oh, sorry, it just stopped. The video ends it, and then because they're chopped up, because that was, well, Mr.
We extract,
Mensch, why is it that the videos are not, why is it not one cohesive video? Why is it chopped?
so I didn't use software to put it all together in one continuous video. I took different segments from the different cameras and times and stuff was extracted that way because of the size of the data, and the drive that was put on. But to answer your question, Your Honor, so the first vehicle that shows up, leaves, circles the block, comes back, and you can see the nitro leaving. The point in time where the alleged victim showed up in this case, or where she actually at a fast pace followed Mr. Flores, in this case was 1 hour, 11 minutes, and 15 seconds that she was in that lot.
Anything else?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you, sir. You can step back. Anything else from the defense?
Nothing, Your Honor.
People?
Nothing, Your Honor. People would ask, would you bind over as charged on the criminal sexual conduct in fourth degree? Reminding the court that this is basically just, where we've got to show probable cause that a crime was committed, this crime, the situation with ID. He was the one that, she hit. She has no problem saying that. She does call police. She calls them because she was basically, as she said, upset because he was touching her. He thought he could make a deal with her. He thought she was, because of her Hispanic background, that she may have been illegal, and that gave him the basis to try to force her when he was touching her. And he admits that he touched her on her butt, which is an intimate body part. So we asked the court to bind over as charged.
Actually, the only
He
thing,
said he admits.
I'm sorry, she, Sorry, no.
Oh, apologies. So the only thing that I would ask to admit, because it can come in under a hearsay exception, is the 911 call where Mr. Flores twice called 911. That's the only other proof that I would submit. So seemingly before Miss Alvarado calls. So any objection to that? Or would you just want to stipulate that he called, or would the court like to hear the 911 call?
No, I'll just stipulate that he made a call to her.
2 calls to 911. And those are the first and second calls, hers are audio 4 and 5. Your Honor, I must admit this is a very strange case. I've not seen it in my admittedly short 10-year career. While it is true that all the prosecution needs to do is submit some testimony or some evidence on each element, the court, as it well knows, has to look at the matter as a whole. It has to do an examination of a whole. And Miss Alvarado, although she has, I guess, some reason for stopping in the lot, does not seem to, initially when she was asked, she said that it only took her a few minutes to get from Shayla's Bakery to the area where the traffic stop occurred. She then obviously, when confronted with this change, said, oh, it only took her a few minutes to get to that lot on Pitt Street, but she was very explicitly asked whether she stopped anywhere. And she, made excuses as to why that was the case. But in any event, the court heard testimony from Detective Menge, Investigator Menge in this case, that he conducted an investigation and tied one of the 3 vehicles that was in the lot at the same time that Ms. Alvarado was in the lot back to a man who has a civil action against Mr. Flores. This is a case of he said, she said, an examination, and where the complainant changes her story, right? It evolves. And we heard, what she said, the first 2 times she called 911, she said, he tried to touch me. At the scene, he said, he tried to touch me, and then said, well, he did touch me. How was he touched? And she did a cupping action on the butt. And then the next day, she again relays the story, and she says, oh, well, his hand was on my back, and then it slipped down. And that was based on the evolution of this story, the fact that her credibility seems to at best be questionable. And although I don't know what her relationship is to Munoz, we know that for an hour and a half, essentially, she sat in that parking lot and she didn't leave until Mr. Flores left. Based on the examination of the whole, Your Honor, I would ask for this court to dismiss this case.
So what this case boils down to is, did the defendant inappropriately touch Ms. Alvarado? It's that plain and simple. She says that he did, that she was driving behind him. He made a sudden stop. She ran into the back of him. He gets out the vehicle. She gets out she gets out the vehicle as well. If there's some discussion about insurance, she tells him that she doesn't. She really doesn't want the police call, and that type of thing. He calls the police. She says, but then he tells her about the apartment building that he owns down the street, that they could work something out where the police won't be called, and then he allegedly touches her butt. She gets in the vehicle and calls the police twice. When she calls the police, she says he tried to touch her butt. I'm not so much hung up on the semantics, because if you listen to her testimony closely, she says that he was in the process of touching him before it could get any further. She pushed him away. So it wouldn't surprise me that she said that she would refer to it as what he tried to do, because the act itself was not completed, if in fact it happened at all. What's pretty curious to the court, though, is this whole business of her in this parking lot that she neglected to mention that she spent some considerable time in, over an hour sitting there, doing what? And then there's different vehicles that come and go and appear to interact with her while she's in the vehicle. And she does not leave out the parking lot until the defendant emerges and gets in his car and drives away. And all of a sudden, she gets in her car, she catches up to him and runs into the backup. So what I have to weigh here is the credibility of the witness. Is Ms. Alvarado credible? And quite frankly, I don't necessarily buy her story about what she's doing in that parking lot. And then there's phone calls that are made to the defendant from phones that she bought for other people, according to her. Not only that, in one of the text messages, she identifies herself as the person that's contacting the defendant. But even if I bought a phone for someone else who's an illegal alien, they're not going to say that they're me in contacting him. That makes no sense. So something is definitely going on here. There's a bigger story here than what I'm hearing, than what I'm told. And whenever I have a witness who isn't being 100% truthful with me, how can I trust anything about what you're saying? I should have to guess what she's telling the truth about and what she's not telling the truth about. So I don't buy the story about the whole GPS thing and I'm going to do some lashes for my friend. Yet you're sitting in a parking lot for an hour on social media and plugging in the GPS. And you just so happen to run into a guy that you've been calling or someone's been calling with numbers associated to you and sending text messages from a phone associated to you, yet you don't know the defendant. You haven't made any phone calls to the defendant yet. One of the text messages says that, hey, this is, I don't know how she pronounced her name, Julia, or something to that effect. This is Julia, and I got your number from so-and-so. None of that is making any sense. This case doesn't make any sense to me. And quite frankly, I've tried jury trials in less time than this has taken. But I appreciate the effort that's been put into this. And I think that effort shows that the witness was not a very credible witness. Without a credible witness, I can't trust what's been put before the court by way of that witness's testimony. So the court is going to dismiss this matter for insufficient evidence.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay. Straight right into dismissal.
Yes, Judge.